Hey, you know what? It's Friday night. That's normally date night.
Except for here at Panic D Videos.
You want to go to the theater?
Okay.
Hello there, Parapeeps, and welcome to another episode of Our Haunted Travels. I am your host, Sean Donnelly.
And I'm your co-host, Marianne Donnelly.
In this video, we are talking about Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C.
That's right.
But before we get into that, if you are into paranormal history or forensic type videos,
don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ding that little bell so you can hear from us next time we post a new video so you don't miss a thing.
That's right. So Ford's Theater.
That's right.
When were we there?
2 summers ago?
2 summers ago. We didn't go in 2 summers ago. We went in the time before that.
Yes, we went by it last time, but
yeah,
we went in it a couple years before that.
Yeah, pretty interesting. I mean, it was a pretty cool tour actually being there. So what we're doing is we're talking about Panic D number 1111.
That's right.
That's a hard number to remember.
1111.
1111. It is located at 511 10th Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. And yes, it is open to the public.
That's right. It's open to the public for tours, pretty much almost every day, I think. But they're also open for actual theater goers between November and May.
Yes. All right. So if you would like to hear about the history of this theater, the building itself, we're going way back.
That's right.
So go ahead and watch this video, and we'll be right back with our personal experiences and why we believe this location is haunted.
The Ford's Theater National Historic Site, most well known for where President Lincoln was shot in 1865, was originally home to the First Baptist Church of Washington, which would eventually become known as the 10th Street Baptist Church. It was built in 1833 on Square 377, encompassing Lot 10. John T. Ford leased the building on December 10th of 1861 for 5 years with an option to buy the property at the end of that period and reconfigured the space into a theater. He initially called it Ford's Athenaeum. Ford immediately rented the theater to George Christie, who advertised the structure as the George Christie Opera House, and ran a successful theater from December 13th of 1861 to February 27th of 1862. Following the final performance of Christie's company, Ford closed the building and proceeded to remodel it and renovate the building based upon plans drawn by James J. Gifford. These plans, by the way, have disappeared and have not been able to be found. On February 28th of 1862, Ford started renovating the building, investing $10,000 into new construction and the remodeling. The renovated building was opened just 3 weeks later, on March 19th of 1862, under Ford's own name as Ford's Athenaeum, with the following prices: orchestra chairs, $1; dress circle and parquet, 50 cents; balcony seats, $1; and family circle, 25 cents. Lincoln attended Ford's Theater on May 28th of 1862 for the first time, leading it to be called and hailed as a prestigious theater, aiding in Ford's success. About 5 o'clock in the evening on December 30th of 1862, a fire caused by a defective gas meter broke out in the cellar under the stage and destroyed the building. Ford's loss was estimated at $20,000 by insurance. Ford immediately went ahead with new plans to construct a larger and more magnificent theater on the same site with the same designer. The new building mimicked the design of his Holiday Street Theater in Baltimore. For this larger theater, he added a lease of part of Lot 9 on February 1st of 1863 for 99 years. And through a deed purchased part of Lot 11 on February 25th of 1863, for expansions. On February 25th of 1862, Ford also officially paid $5,000 and added 5 $1,000 notes to purchase the building from the Baptist Church, making it his by 1863. The newly redesigned and expanded building opened with the new name, Ford's New Theater, on Thursday, August 27th of 1863. The overall interior dimensions of the theater were now approximately 67 feet north and south and 103.5 feet east to west. The exterior was 75 feet by 110 feet. It would also have 9 chimneys and 4 stories. In 1863, Ford's Theater hired well-known actors like John Wilkes Booth, whom Abraham Lincoln watched perform in The Marble Heart on November 9th of that year. On April 14th of 1865, John Wilkes Booth, actor and Confederate sympathizer, snuck into Ford's Theater and assassinated President Lincoln. He fled the crime scene and escaped out the back of the building, hiding out in Maryland and Virginia for 12 days before soldiers found and killed him. Lincoln's death brought productions at Ford's Theater to a halt for the next 103 years. Within days, Secretary of War Edwin Stanton ordered Matthew Brady to document the crime scene with photographs. Brady photographed the stage, the presidential box, etc., but souvenir hunters had already taken its flags and buntings. John T. Ford received official permission to reopen the theater after the hanging of the conspirators on July 7th of 1865. July 9th of 1865, an anonymous letter was sent to Ford warning him, "You must not think of opening tomorrow night. I can assure you it will not be tolerated." It was signed, "One of the many determined to prevent it." Ford ultimately heeded the warnings and eventually sold the theater to the War Department. A placard had been placed on the door reading "Closed by order of the Secretary of War." Tickets sold for the evening of July 10th were refunded, and it was his final attempt to ever use it as a theater in his lifetime. The War Department then took control of the theater, gutted it, and turned it into a 3-story office building. Ford was paid $1,500 per month beginning July 8th of 1865 for the lease of his theater until such time as Congress would appropriate sufficient money to authorize purchase of the building. The first 2 floors housed the Office of Records and Pensions, and the third an Army Medical Museum. A memorandum of sale records the purchase of Ford's Theater by the government in July of 1866 for $88,000 for the purchase of the structure, having already received $12,000 in rentals under the terms of the original lease between Ford and the Office of the Quartermaster General, War Department, thus making the total given to Mr. Ford $100,000. The conversion of the office space was done by Richard Dunbar of New York City for the price of $28,500. Between 1866 and 1887, the Army Medical Museum resided on the 3rd floor of the former Ford's Theater building. It offered visitors a look at the macabre, even housing part of John Wilkes Booth's spine. On June 9th of 1893, a 40-foot section of the front of the building collapsed from the 3rd floor, hurling men, desks, and heavy filing cases into the cellar. This unfortunate event killed 22 government employees and injured 65 others. The cause was not only due to overloading the floor, but it was also due to negligence of a building contractor named George W. Dant, who was excavating under the pillars in the cellar improperly and without sufficient shoring up of support of the floors. In 1924, Congressman Henry Riggs Rathbone of Illinois son of Major Henry Rathbone, who witnessed the assassination, unveiled a plaque labeling what still functioned as a warehouse location where Lincoln was shot. Public opposition derailed Rathbone's proposal to restore the theater. In 1928, the government transferred control of Ford's Theater and the Petersen House, where Lincoln officially died, to the Office of Public Buildings and Public Parks. In 1931, old Ford's Theater building was turned over to the Department of the Interior. The upper stories were being used for small office spaces. Parts of the building also served as a recruiting station for the War Department during World War I and later. And in 1932, the Lincoln Museum was opened on the first floor. As part of the National Park Service and a National Historic Site, it housed and displayed an array of Lincoln-related objects from the collection of Osborne Oldroyd, a Lincoln enthusiast who had originally had his collection in Petersen House, and a replica of Ford's Theater as it looked in 1865. The display opened as the New Lincoln Museum, but it failed to attract many visitors. In 1940, the Lincoln Museum received many artifacts related to the assassination, including Booth's Derringer pistol, and over time, interest and a better understanding of Lincoln's past and last moments revived plans to restore both the Petersen House and the Ford Theater to their 1865 appearances. In 1963, a historic structure report detailing what history and information was had, as well as proposal plans for renovations, was written. In 1964, Congress approved allocation of funds to restore Ford's Theater to its 1865-era appearance. The interior would need extensive reconstruction due to all the changes that had occurred since the night of the assassination. And in 1965, renovations began to restore the Ford's Theater. But remember, original construction plans weren't found, so the use of interview information and Matthew Brady's photographs, as well as any information they can find in public records, is what was actually used to create the restoration. In 1965, upon hearing the newly renovated theater would not host live productions, Frankie Childers Hewitt founded the Ford's Theater Society, which still puts on plays there today. In 1968, Ford's Theater Society reintroduced live performances at the Ford's Theater for the first time since the night of the Lincoln assassination. Also, in 1968, the museum was also renovated. A life mask of Lincoln's face was made in 1860, and this served as a new centerpiece for the museum, which, by the way, had been moved to Ford's Theater's basement. The museum, however, did still underplay the assassination. In 1968, Ford's Theater reopened as a National Historic Site and a working theater. 1970, Ford's Theater Society hosted its first annual Ford's Theater Gala, and it was attended by First Lady Patricia Nixon, former First Lady Mamie Eisenhower, and Ethel Kennedy. They were all seated in the second row. Through the remaining decades, Ford's Theater National Historic Site has seen further renovations. To accommodate people's interests in learning more about the assassination, the National Park Service modernized the Ford's Theater Museum in 1988, addressing the unfortunate event of the assassination of Lincoln more thoroughly. And the Ford's Theater Society and National Park Service updated the museum and theater again between 2007 and 2009. As Ford's Theater needed some updates to the 40-year-old reconstruction. New sound, lighting, stage rigging, and ventilation were had, as well as an overhaul of seating, creating a historically accurate representation of the 1865 theater. The new museum would now chronicle the difficulties Lincoln faced, the legacy he left behind, and details of his assassination. It reopened on February 11th of 2009, the night before Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday. Prominent figures such as President and Mrs. Obama, Katie Couric, and James Earl Jones attended the reopening ceremony. In 2009, Ford's Theater National Historic Site also acquired street-level space in the adjacent office building, allowing the Society to expand and include a larger lobby and updated amenities. In 2010, Ford's Theater Society purchased a 10-story building next to Petersen House to construct offices, learning studios, and additional museum space. In 2015, for the 150th anniversary of the assassination of Lincoln, they portrayed the events at the theater, the street, and Petersen House in real time, streaming it live on social media. Today, Ford's Theater brings politically and socially vital plays to the stage, entertaining both locals and out-of-towners with a full season each year, ranging from September to May. And since 1981, they've given out something called the Lincoln Medal. The Lincoln Medal is given by Ford's Theater Society to those who, through their body of work, accomplishments, or personal attributes, exemplify the lasting legacy and the mantle of character embodied by Abraham Lincoln. Past recipients have included Dr. Maya Angelou, Julie Andrews, Morgan Freeman, James Earl Jones, as well as First Ladies Laura and Barbara Bush and Lady Bird Johnson. A full list can be found on the theater's website. Who will be next? Will it be you? If not, you can at least visit the museum or even attend a play, just as Lincoln did. Well, maybe not just like Lincoln did.
That was a long one, but this building has a lot of history.
And I left a lot out. Like, normally I try to tell you about the sizes of the rooms and all that kind of stuff, and I left most of that out.
Yeah, and we thank you. No, a lot of people like that stuff. They
You
like
think?
it. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I hope so.
all right, so our personal experiences. Like I said, I really enjoyed myself when we were there. Went into the theater itself, and they gave a presentation. And then at the time we were there, and I think it's been moved now, but the museum was down in the basement. I think they bought the building next to it and moved the museum, or they've got additional things.
They've got
or
additional, they've added additional space.
Yeah, since we've been there. So
Yes.
you know what that means.
We have to go back.
Go back.
But we have
okay.
to go back soon anyways, because our National Library cards
They expire?
every 2 years.
Are
so
you
they're
serious?
expiring this summer.
Everything we went through, we got to go through that again?
Mm-hmm.
Our research cards.
Mm-hmm. Library of Congress, National Library.
So what about you?
It was amazing. I thought it was fantastic. And just, going across the street, then Petersen House and everything all together, because they basically put the tour as you buy the tickets to everything together. And
Which we'll
they
be
have
talking
so
about next
much.
week.
They have so much memorabilia and so much history that they've built into it, and they've added to it through the years. And I think it's getting better and better.
Yeah.
And just being in the main part of the theater, being allowed to walk up the same staircases, it's just really cool.
Yeah. So I guess this is just an easy one. Why would it be so haunted? It's a typical residual haunting that goes on. We've talked about this now. This would be the third video about this subject, but with the assassination and all that energy, I mean, are you disagreeing?
No.
Why
I agree.
else would it be so haunted? Well, there was some interesting other stuff that came out in the history, though, too. There were other people who lost their lives in this building.
That's right.
22, I believe.
That's correct.
So there were other deaths in this building when that collapse happened, but that was after the thing. So could be some other
and
stuff going on in there as well.
Yeah, and before Ford even took it over, when he was taking it over and he was getting the idea that he wanted a theater in there, that the people from the church, one of them said, "That's not a good idea. Only bad will come to those people, anyone who turns this building into a theater." And
interesting.
yeah.
Oh, well.
I'm just saying.
Well, is there anything else you would like to add to
That
this
was
video?
what I wanted to add to this
Well,
video.
she already added it. All
Yeah.
right, folks. Hey, till next time.
Thanks for watching.
And happy hunting.
Let us know if you like this video by hitting that thumbs up. Also, if you'd like to see more videos from us in the future, support our channel by hitting that subscribe button and dinging that bell so you get notified the next time there's a video from Panic D Videos.
Thanks for watching.
Happy hunting!